That's going to be an easy one. It's probably, well, it was the first patient that I got from a vascular surgeon in Augusta, Georgia, that he'd been treating for 20 years. And he had just had a BKA, I believe it was, on his right leg, and his left leg was severely compromised and was not a candidate for any surgical procedures. So the doc tried the arterial pump on that patient. And when I went down to in-service the patient on the pump, you know, I sat there with him for a while, and while we were talking, and he was a very religious man. He was probably in his mid-60s, and he goes, "Oh, I pray to God that I hope that this thing works." And I said, "Well, what would you do if this thing works and you can ambulate more?" And he said, "All I want to do is," and I get choked up to this day, "all I want to do is call one more game." He was a baseball umpire. And he got his prosthetics, and he actually did call another baseball game. So that was pretty amazing. It gives you the juice to get up in the morning.
I've been doing this for about 10 years, and one of the most touching stories, and one that I relate to so many of my doctors, is I went to do an arterial device delivery for a patient that was 81 years old, a gentleman by the name of Joseph. I went in and talked to him. He didn't say a word to me the entire time I was there. His wife had to relate everything to me. All Joseph did was sit there very quietly, just kind of dozing in his chair, very zero affect, just no emotion, nothing. Go through the whole process. I explained to him, and his wife was asking me a lot of really good questions, and I'm relating to her exactly what we can expect from the device. And so I leave, and about 27 days later, I get a call, and one of the little pieces of Velcro on the cuff had torn off. So I went back to replace the cuff. I walk in, and Joseph is like a little giddy boy, and he's talking to me, and he's happy, and he's smiling. And I said, "Well, what happened to you? Last time I was here, you were just zeroed out. I couldn't get even a word out of you." And he goes, "Jody, I was sleeping. I was waking up maybe 6 times a night. I was depressed. I was just exhausted." He said, "Now, with the device that you got for me, I'm waking up one night, one time out of every week." He said, "And I can do one night, one time every week." And the personality change that happened with this gentleman was phenomenal. And no pain, he's sleeping through the night. That, to me, as far as quality of life, is the thing that drives us to do what we did. I think it was just the most beautiful outcome that this guy could have asked for.
I have a patient in Little Rock, Arkansas. Was in the hospital talking to the doc. She mentioned a patient who really needs a lymphedema pump. I said, "Okay, let's get him taken care of." So the consult comes through. I give him a call on the phone, and the guy immediately just said, "Hey, don't come out to my house unless you have something that can really help me out. I'm in bad shape here." And I convinced him. I said, "I have what you need. I think we can help you, but I can't really make any more decisions until you let me come out." He's like, "Okay, come on out." So I drove to Little Rock, Arkansas. This guy was a giant. He was 6 feet, 6 inches tall, probably about 400 and some odd pounds. His legs were gargantuan, and he used to be a football player. I think he was an NFL football player back in the 70s, and he's a government contractor and consultant who drives a lot. As about 2 years prior to meeting me, he was a full-time employee working in Washington, D.C. However, for the past 2 years, he's been laying at home with swollen legs and suffering from chronic venous insufficiency. Drove to his home, got him set up, measured his legs, and immediately he said, "Wow, this feels really great." I said, "Well, if you do it an hour, 3 times a day, I think we can solve your problem." He was very skeptical. "I don't know, this is crazy, it doesn't make any sense, but I'll do it." And I said, "Please do it, and it'll fix your problem." I'm going to say about a month and a half later, I get this call from Little Rock. The guy keeps calling. I couldn't answer the phone, and finally when I answered the phone, it was him. He's like, "Daryl, thank you. I'm like, you're welcome. Who is this? He said, this is the guy you treated in Little Rock, Arkansas, so-and-so, so-and-so. And I said, hey, how you doing? He said, I need to send you a picture of my legs. I said, sure, send it through. I'm going to say in about a month and a half, his legs went from just being gigantic to almost normal. And in addition to almost being normal, he didn't need his walker, he didn't need a cane. He was able to move around. And I'm going to say a couple of 3 or 4 months after that, he returned to work, which was amazing. And believe it or not, I've gotten a Christmas card from him. I don't know how he had my birthday. We talked. I got a birthday card from him. And periodically he'll call me and just tell me how he's doing. So I'm really excited about working for this company. I'm really excited about the products we have. And I'm really excited about the job that we do for the patients day in and day out. It is absolutely positively my motivator for getting up and doing what I do on a day-to-day basis.
I work with a lot of arterial patients as well as venous patients, but it seems like a lot of the arterial patients I work with, a lot of them have rest pain or intermittent claudication, or they can't sleep through the night, and then they also have arterial wounds as a result of their condition. So I have seen on numerous occasions where we put an arterial pump on somebody and they almost, on some occasions, get instant relief from their rest pain. And then usually in a couple days, a lot of these guys, they'll end up calling me on the phone and telling me how, hey, they're finally sleeping through the night, their wounds are healing up, but and now they can actually go for walks. And some of them have been on scooters before, and now, you know, I live in Florida, so there's a lot of retirement communities down there. They get to walk around with their friends, walk their dogs. So it does make a huge improvement in quality of life for a lot of these guys.
In fact, one of my first patients I had was a venous patient, and he was prescribed to me by a podiatrist in South Carolina. And actually, as it turns out, because of his condition, you know, he was working a full-time job and doing well at it, but as his legs swelled and he actually developed an ulcer on his foot, he lost his job. Because of that, he could no longer make payments on his home. He was actually evicted, and when I did the delivery for him, he was actually homeless, living out of his car. And so when I did the delivery, I actually went out and bought a car adapter at Target for his car. And we did the delivery right there in his car, and he had been living in his car for the last month and a half. I talked to him about a month later. You know, because of the pump, the swelling was down, the ulcer was healing. He was actually found a place to live, and then within a month after that, he was actually back to work. So it's just a phenomenal story of not only treating the condition, but just dramatically improving someone's quality of life.